Heroes and villains, friends and enemies, welcome to Epic Realms. Today, my guest is a game designer with Fight in the Box. He's all over the place in the convention scene. He's all over the place on social media, and he's made all kinds of amazingly fun games, and one of the best personalities that I've met out there. Yes, you. The person right behind him is not the person I'm talking about, but the person in front of me that you guys are listening to is Seppy Yoon. Welcome to the show.
Whoa, my gosh, Nick, that's so much. Thank you so much.
Did I just
do
blow your mind?
appreciate it. Yeah, it does. I've been doing games full time since 2013 and it still hasn't sunk in. I think all of us are still recovering from 2020. It's 2 years later, but yeah, no, for me.
Wait, it's 2 years later?
I know. It's exactly the feeling that I have. I'm like, oh yeah. And now I'm 2013. We're coming up on a decade. Next year will be a decade of Fight in a Box. That's crazy.
That's crazy. And that's awesome. What was the first game you guys did?
Officially, it's Squirrel or Die.
Okay.
We did 1,200 of those over a 3-year period. I handcrafted. By handcrafted, I meant I fed wood planks into a laser machine and then scrubbed the fire off. I made 1,200 Squirrel or Dies that I went to conventions and sold Girl Scout cookies so I could go to the next convention. That was the first game.
So you say officially. Unofficially, would it be something else?
I've been writing games for a long time. But before Fight in a Box, I don't know. Yeah, I've been writing games for a long time. Yeah.
How long have you been doing games? Did you work for other
publishing
companies?
games is 2013.
Okay.
But I've probably been writing I've been writing. The first serious game I wanted to write was on my Atari 1300. I think that's what it was. It was the fancy one that after all the other ones, it was a competitor for Car Wars that I wanted to write.
Okay.
Yeah. When serious games had charts in them, Nick.
Right.
Lots of charts.
No, I remember Car Wars, unfortunately. Actually, it wasn't Car Wars. It was something else that had all these.
Every game designer of a certain age has tried to make their version of Car Wars. It's true. It's the thing.
The current one is Gaslands, isn't it? Isn't the current one Gaslands?
Gaslands is good.
Gaslands is good.
And if you've gotten to play locally, Jeff Tidbull is one of us locally.
Yeah, we had Jeff on.
Yeah, no, Grav Strike is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Grav Strike is legit, and yeah, it definitely scratches that itch as well. Yeah.
You were talking about doing the stuff on the Atari. Did games and stuff kind of distract you from real life, or how were you in school? Stuff like that.
How sad do we want to get, Nick? I was gay and Asian in the 80s in Detroit. Those were bad. Those were not things that were that went well together.
Right.
So I found games uplifting. I think I just wanted to start writing games because I would even play them by myself. I cannot tell you how many games of Monopoly I played solo between the ages of 5 and 10.
Wow.
I told you that's some dark and sad stuff.
How do you So do you get angry at yourself? Or are you at the end of Monopoly playing against yourself? You're like, screw you, me, I just cheated.
I was a weird kid, and we played a lot of chess, and there was chess books and solo chess. You play against yourself. I'm like, why not just play Monopoly against yourself? And so that was the thing.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a terrible game then. It was a terrible idea. I did it anyway.
When did you leave Detroit?
I left Detroit in the 90s. Yeah.
Were you still doing school? Were you a kid still, or were you?
No. I after college, I was in the military.
Okay.
I was in naval nuclear power. Yeah, and so I left it to go to Orlando. One of the worst mistakes of my life was to do boot camp in Chicago in its coldest winter. Yeah, that was bad. It was a bad
and now you're in Minnesota.
Bad. Yeah, no, and then I do love the cold. I did not know it then. Yeah, I got kicked out for Don't Ask, Don't Tell
Okay.
from the Navy. Like I like every gay stereotype of an age. I practically lived.
Well, and I mean, luckily you have board games to fall back on and a gaming community. And
Well, but between naval nuclear power and board games, I spent a lot of time making software for people.
okay.
So I was an adult for a period of time in the 90s to like 2013. Like it's like 20-year period or somewhere in there, like less than 20-year period where I was an adult. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
I'm
not
posted. I'm post adult now, Nick.
right.
I'm post adult now.
I mean, let's be honest. We're having fun. That's the core of being a kid, isn't it?
No,
No.
I do not think that's the core of
No.
being like, what kind of childhood did you have? Nick? I want your childhood.
I had a fun childhood, I guess. I'm sorry.
Did I not give like the statistics? Like you know,
Well, you're just doing it out of order. That's all. You're doing it now. You get to do all the fun stuff.
I think you are 100% correct.
There
I think yes, I think I was doing it out of order, and yeah, now I'm doing the fun stuff.
So we talked. You were played Monopoly and chess growing up, and those were games
Dungeons and Dragons early.
D&D,
like,
okay.
Yeah, no.
I gotta ask
the Shaw. Oh, yes, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The Shaw brothers made kung fu movies, and kung fu theater was a major influence on my life. And I've told the story quite a few times, but short end of the story is my brothers who are older than me, they were teens when I was playing this stuff, right? But I would play, my parents would inflict young me on them to play Dungeons and Dragons. And if I was about to die, I would go crying. And they're like, you can't kill your brother. That's a rule. And so my brother, being a fan of Monty Python, would take a limb every time I did something stupid. And I did a lot of stupid things. And I loved monks. I was going to play a monk every time. I punched so many gelatinous cubes, so many traps. So at the end of a lot of series, I would be like, just, have no limbs, and my other brother would throw me at the bad guys. And eventually I would have to kill my own character off, which was my brother's goal.
Oh, well, that's
he's a lawyer now. This all makes sense.
Question.
This is
I gotta
dark
ask
places, Nick. I'm sorry. This is like dark.
I gotta ask everybody. Do you prefer to be a GM or a player?
Historically, I've been a GM. I mean, yeah. Historically, I've been a GM. I'm the filler GM guy, the guy who always has a story.
Okay.
Traditionally, that's the person that I had been in my gaming group growing up. But since then, now I'd write these epics with massive amounts of prep time and so on and whatnot. I get to play occasionally, and I do love it. Yeah, I mean, I write board games, but if you put a gun to my head and said, "What kind of gamer are you?" I might say role player, like as my core, like my core person. Yeah, okay. I'm on a weekly podcast where I'm an elf named Pyrex Starfinder.
All right, what's the?
Drop
us the podcast. Let's play it.
Oh yeah, it's D6 Generations role play 8 charisma. Okay. You betcha. And so he comes from the Northern Temple, and he might be a little ambiguous or a little socially confused, but the things he does is super. He makes sure that everybody feels the power of the Nord. So yeah, so that's I love Pyrex Star. I love being Pyrex. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh God, that's entertaining. That's hilarious.
Oh, I do. I would recommend it. Like Pyrex is his own terrible animal. I do. Yeah. So I do get to play. I do love it.
So do you still play a lot of monks?
I haven't gotten to, but in the campaigns that I write, I always there's always sort of a side story, massive arc that can happen with people who are unarmed fighters and so forth and whatnot. I write monks into the sort of seedy underbelly of the worlds that I create, because one of the greatest martial arts masterpieces of all time is called The 5 Deadly Venoms.
Okay.
Have you seen this movie, Nick?
I haven't.
Okay.
Or don't judge me. Don't judge me.
I feel like maybe you need to try go see this movie. Maybe I'm just too old, like whatever it is. But there are a few martial arts movies from the Shaw period
Okay.
that I feel like everybody needs to see. And Shaolin Executioners is one. That's Crane versus Tiger. If people remember that. The 36 Chambers of Kung Fu and the 5 Deadly Venoms. These are the 3 movies. Like if you had to like distill what Run Shaw did for the world into 3 movies, that might be it. There's also Come Drink With Me. I think that's the right title. That's like badass martial arts ladies. That can be added for representation's sake. I might include that as well. The badass martial arts lady starts there. But those 3 movies in particular, yeah, and that's why I had so many monks without limbs.
Were you like trying to impersonate what they were doing and just realize that it doesn't work in the system?
It's weird. Like a monk, like obviously Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson, they were like, they're swimming in the same sea of stimulus that I had, and they were like, yeah, people need to be able to just 5-finger death punch some things.
just gotta punch a Tarrasque.
Yeah, I need to punch a dragon, right? And yeah, and so they and like as an Asian kid growing up, seeing Asian heroes, there were only a few places that you could see them on the regular, and
right.
Yeah, and so the Shaw Brothers had entire stories about Asian people doing Asian stuff to each other, right, and so forth and whatnot, and and they were much better than things like American Ninja and Jim Kata.
I loved American Ninja, especially where like the 20th one where they take the 2 guys that were different actors, they put them together in the same movie. That's like the best of the American Ninjas.
There was also a buddy of mine growing up had all of the martial arts comic books, and we were obsessed with these. The Jade Man, they were translated into English. The Jade Man comics, they were pretty fantastic. Some of those stories were insane, and I think a lot of people don't realize how much they influenced like some of the storytelling effects of anime.
Right.
Yeah, it's the stuff like that.
Gotta love anime too, though.
I do love anime. My goal in life, no bullshit, is to live long enough to see the end of One Piece. I've been watching that so long.
You think it's gonna happen?
No, I think I'm gonna die. It's really sad, Nick. I'm like, that'll be like the last thing I say on my deathbed is, but he was gonna be king of the pirates, and then I will expire. It'll be so sad.
So let's shift gears and talk about some of your games. Let's start off with.
Oh my God, you're a good host. Like I've gone like multiple media outlets and Dodge talking about my games again and again. Thank you for getting me on topic and on something relevant.
That's okay. That's okay. I want to talk about. Let's talk about the Squirrel or Die. You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, Squirrel or Die, 7 minutes.
Tell us about the game.
Do you have the mental rigors to survive winter as a squirrel in the world's most dangerous backyard?
I don't know.
Yeah,
but tell me
you
more.
Won't know. Yeah. So it's our first small box games. We have 3 small box games, and we'll get to the other ones. But it basically is combat memory. And people think memory is something that you have, but memory is like any other skill. You can use it, you can improve it, and it's actually easier than you think. First of all, you need to understand, Nick, that the average human brain, yours is probably exceptional, but the average human brain can only keep track of 4 disparate things at a time. 3 now that I've given you that useless statistic.
Okay.
So it is very important. So you're like, okay, in a game that's based on memory and you have more than 4 things to track, like how do you do that? And so There's a lot of tricks and tips for that that you can do. You can do heat maps. You can do memory palaces. I recommend just a rule. And rules are really simple. Like if I was playing with you, Nick, you're lovely. I'll put lovely things by you. And that's a rule. That's easy to remember. I'm a monster. I'd put monstrous things by myself, and then I would know that this area by me is dangerous. That area by you is safer.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes. So that's the essence. It explores the mechanics, game mechanics wise, of place and memory.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a little bit of bluffing in there. There's a little something, but yeah, it's simple.
And what is
7 minutes?
What is the goal?
Last squirrel standing. At the end of this, Nick, one of us will be a squirrel, and the rest of us will be fighting evil in Squirrel Hollow.
Oh, because they die. Because it's squirrel or die.
Yeah. Because they died.
I gotcha.
It doesn't say that in the copy of the game, but I think it every time I play.
Well, and that's the kind of the fun thing about
witness me. Okay, what?
That's a fun thing about a lot of not just game designers, but people that do they go to conventions and go to tables and they demo them, because there's little tidbits that they kind of learn to like sell it or to explain things or to kind of make it a little bit more fun. And that's kind of one of those little behind the scene things that you get. Like I'm assuming you've played Flapjacks and Sasquatches, yes?
Yeah, a lot of Flapjacks. I'm terrible at Flapjacks and Sasquatches.
When you get the what is it, the Swedish a Swedish knife or whatever, the Swedish axe. Yeah. And it doesn't say in the rules, but every time you play it, you've got to go bork, bork, bork.
Or do it bork, bork.
Right. So I mean, that's one of those things that, like you said, like it's not in there, but
it's in there.
You think it every time.
It's in there. So yeah, Squirrel and I has 2 versions. The original version is this wood crafted Etsy awesomeness. And then it has the full illustrated card version, which is the 3.5 inch square cards, which we use for all our small box games. Yeah.
And were your small box games intended to be like I'm going on a trip and I don't have a lot of room?
Yeah, the backpack games are a lot of, they have great table presence. You need a bit of a table to play Hedgehog Hop, but they travel really easy, and you get a lot of game for not a lot of money in the travel series. So yeah. Squirrel Die, super fun. It is. We've sold so many copies and continue to sell so many copies. It was featured in the Star Tribune's like gift guide, not last year, but the year before. Nice. And those people keep on coming back. Like, it's great. Squirrel Die is a great entry-level game to play with people. It's good for gamers. It's good for non-gamers. Yeah, you can even play classic memory with it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great.
So let's talk about the other little small box games. You mentioned Hedgehog Hop.
Hedgehog Hop,
which is one of the times where you were demoing Hedgehog Hop. I think we'd run across and been introduced a couple times, but that was the first time I really got to know you. I was helping out at a convention and you were demoing Hedgehog Hop.
I think it's the first time anybody's really gotten to know me, because that is the most autobiographical game that I've written.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I say that all the time. Hedgehog Hop. So,
because you're a hedgehog, I don't know.
There's 4 I think it's because of the 4 dance types. In Hedgehog Hop, we're going to explore place and combos, and so you are rival hedgehog dance crews, trying for supremacy in the grand finale. And so what you do is you drop down a hedgehog from your dance crew, and they have to follow the arrow and then push into the dance mob. And once they push to the dance mob, you see if they make friends with any of their neighbors. And if they do, then you get a backup dancer. And then at the end of the game, the hedgehog you did not play is your lead dancer in the grand finale. And you look at how the dance mob is set up, and you score points based on how that looks and how that's associated with your lead dancer. It's great.
It's silly and fun and ridiculous. And did I mention fun?
Yeah, it's also a little smarter than you think it's going to be. People think it's going to be, that's the like, hey, you made me use my brain. No, there's a little bit of brain melt and Hop. Squirrel or Die, people can just play luck if they want to. Hop, you can, but you're not going to win. Yeah, and then but that doesn't compare to the brain melt of our third game, because they intentionally go up in difficulty.
Right.
And that's mouse, cheese, cat, cucumber.
Which I don't know. Did I get that? Did I get the name? Did I get the order correct?
No, you got it wrong. You got it so wrong.
I was like,
Everybody
I
wants to
knew,
put the
at least I had the right 4 words. I didn't
Yes,
like
you
throw
did.
in like BMW.
Everybody likes to move the cat around somewhere. The cat wanders. Everybody knows it starts with mouse, and then it
Well, in my mind, I was like, okay, well, it's got to be following a thing. I was like, well, maybe it's cheese first because the mouse eats the cheese. The cheese eats. Oh, sorry, that's the Hi-Ho Dairy or the Farmer in the Dell. But that's kind of what I was thinking when I was listing it off on the TikTok promotion. And then I was like, I'm pretty sure I got this wrong, but that's entertaining at least.
You can, yeah. Like one of the things that I learned early after publishing games, and like kids will get a hold of your game and they could not care about the rules that you intended. They will immediately start writing their own rules to this. And that's glorious. Like, let them. That's how new game designers come into the world. Right. Like, I can do this better than this Yabo. And I'm like, oh, but I'm not Yabo. So Mouse Cheese is Hidden Roles Maze Builder. So one of us will invariably, everybody's one of our main characters. The mouse wants to do what, Nick?
Eat the cheese.
Yes. The cat wants to
eat the cucumber. No, I'm just kidding. Eat the mouse.
Yeah. The cheese wants to
not get mold.
Wants nobody to get eaten because it is neutral. It is Swiss.
Oh, nice.
And what do we know about cucumbers? We know cucumbers are inherently evil, and they want them all to be trapped together, eating each other.
Okay. Including
so it plays about 15 minutes. It's hidden roles. There's secret powers. You're trying to build the mages, connect the people. It will melt your brain.
So now, what I did know what roles they're playing in this game?
It's hidden roles. They're roll cards. Everybody's secretly and unlike normal hidden roles game, you're just not just yelling at people. You're sus. You did this thing. Every play, the person has to sort of weigh whether or not they want to give away who they are versus forward the agenda of that individual character. And the game's interesting because it starts out with pretty much everybody against the mouse. So the mouse can't really let anybody know that they are the mouse because turn order is their way. And then midway through the game, the cat comes out. So the cat, like the cheese and the cucumber, can't let either of those two win. And meanwhile, they're trying to do this little dance. And then at the end of the game, the cucumber invariably betrays the cheese and wins victoriously. The cucumber is the hardest to play. If you're the first time player, the cucumber is pretty brutal to play.
Okay. Nice, nice. And that's your newest game, right?
No, yeah, it did great on Kickstarter. A lot of local fans. You're local to me, Nick. People made that game happen. We were super happy about that. It is also, like I've said before, the most overproduced $13.50 in the history of gaming. It has not one solo mode, not two solo modes, a solo campaign mode that fuses the two of them together in a way. It's also a puzzle. You can actually just assemble it like a puzzle.
Wow.
There was a prequel comic strip. There's an art novella. And there's a micro RPG for the people who back the Kickstarter, all using the game.
Wow.
And that's $13.50, folks.
And how hard is it to learn?
Really easy to learn, but maybe not the easiest to master.
So you'll get lots of playtime out of a game like that.
Have you ever played Go?
Yes.
Okay, you understand Go's rules are simple.
Right.
Oh, I surrounded all this. Your stones are coming off the board.
Yeah.
Right. That's it. All you do is play something down. Mouse Cheese, you play something down. That card affects other cards and affects the characters, and that's it. You just take something from the conveyor belt, drop it onto the maze. Take something from and all you do. Like Hedghog Hop, you take a card from your hand, you drop it down, you push it into the mob. Mouse, cheese, cat, cucumber. You take a card, you hide it in the backyard. Like all of these are very easy to learn the rules, but like the why of your decisions is more complicated.
And what about the age? What is there an age category in these games?
For
Roughly?
import reasons, they all say 14 plus.
Okay.
But that's just because I can't, as a small indie game designer, can't afford all the paperwork that you need, the like that $4,000 extra dollars to get all your paperwork so you can be under 14 to deliver to Europe.
Right.
But I would say roughly Squirrely dies 8 or up.
Okay.
You can play younger depending on the kid, but 8 or up is really good. They have to be comfortable with the idea that not all the squirrels make it through winter.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, no, it's a thing. Hedgehog Hop, I'd say 11, 12.
Okay.
And then you should probably have your big boy pants for Mouse, Cheese, Cat, Cucumber. That's probably 14 up.
Okay. So that one's accurate.
Yeah, that one is accurate.
Okay.
It's really good. The small box games are really fun. I would highly recommend them.
All right. Let's get to your non-small box games. Let's talk about End of the Line.
End of the Line.
So
now, that was our first Kickstarter. Did you play it, Nick?
I played it at Con of the North right away when it came out.
Oh.
And apparently I had a conversation with my wife, and apparently I don't remember a lot about the game. And I'm like, no, I remember it was a really good game and I wanted to get it, but we just hadn't gotten it. And I was like, but I remember it. And I'm like, this is the thing. And she's like, that's not how the game, that's not what the game is. It's like,
What did you think?
I thought it was like a party game. I could have swore that it was like a party asking you get a bunch of people together and you're all doing the game together. And
No,
I guess that's just all board games now that I think about it. So maybe
it's
not. But I remember the little tokens and it was like End of the World or something like that. So
no, see, I think that's processing. I think you're thinking more processing.
Maybe I am. Okay. Well, let's talk about End of the Line first, and then we'll get
End of the Line. It's out of print. You can still find copies here and there sneaking around, but it's been out of print for about 2 years now. It's post-apocalyptic family survival. So you have a family, a nuclear family, a dad, mom, boy, girl, and dog, and you are trying to survive the horrors of the apocalypse. And it's not so much a take this game as take that game as a take this game.
Okay.
Everything horrible that happens to the game, you have to sort of survive yourself and inflict yourself.
Okay.
So did you ever watch the Viggo Mortensen movie or read the book The Road?
No.
Okay, never mind then. That joke will not.
Well, the people listening might get the joke.
They're like, no, people will be horrified if they have. They're like, what's wrong with this guy? How about Fury Road? How about that movie is fantastic. So yeah, it's like, Fury Road if it was all families.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or like a Fallout, but with all the families.
Yes. It's very, like it really pokes fun. Like being an 80s kid or 70s kid, and we were it wasn't a question of would we all die in a terrible nuclear fireball. It was when are we going to die in a terrible, or what does the world look like afterwards? Right. We had all just relegated ourselves to this kind of thing, and this pokes fun of everything in and around there. Yeah, so it's tongue-in-cheek. It's super dark humor, like it's pitch black.
Okay.
Like it is. So yeah, and about a third of the time everybody loses. It's a game where everybody can lose, and so yeah. But occasionally one person ekes out one family member, and then you're like, but what I love about End of the Line, despite it's super dark or whatever, is every holiday, some of my dear fight fans send me pictures of them playing the game with their family. It's great. Like,
are there any plans to put it back out on the market?
All right, so we tried to kickstart to get a reprint and do the new edition at the beginning of the pandemic, but guess what? People were not excited to hear about the end of the world at the beginning of the pandemic. It was
What?
a bad call, Nick. Nick, it was a bad call.
What do you mean?
Bad call, Nick.
People don't want to play games about real life?
Yeah, I'm not a bright man. And so and so that Kickstarter ended up being a little bit short, and we canceled earlier. We might have been able to eke it through, right? But I made a couple really bad decisions managing that Kickstarter.
Okay.
That I think that's on me. I don't think it's the fight fans are fantastic, whatever it is. But I was going through some stuff in my life too, and blah blah blah. And so I think people should really track us on the fact that every one of our Kickstarters is delivered early on its promise.
Right.
All of our games have more gameplay than you could like, and they're all smarter than they look. So yeah, but I love wacky themes, and that's probably a problem. Like the theme to game mechanics ratio, like I love an insane theme, but my mechanics are like, shouldn't this have wacky, silly mechanics? No, this is gonna melt your brain. We're gonna melt your brain.
Right.
So I'm working on a new version of End of Line called End of Line Self-Checkout.
Okay.
And I'm hoping to have a version of it ready for Produce Spiel, Minnesota at the end of this month, but we'll see. Yeah. So that's the fight fans want one. I wrote it in 2010. I wrote the expansion in 2010. So they've been waiting on the expansion. They've even played it on the convention circuit.
Okay.
The game is good, but it is it's for a specific type of gamer.
Right. Like a Cards Against Humanity, but not quite that bad.
No, it's not as much sort of like make grandma say embarrassing things kind of humor as like I can't believe like this terrible outcome I inflicted on all these people. I should feel bad about myself. I don't. There's a little bit of that. It's horrible. You do horrible things in that game to each other instead of say horrible things. I guess that's the flavor of it.
All right.
Yeah. But it's got programming in it. It's worker placement. There's a lot of strange things about the game. It's resource management, worker placement, programming. And you don't think of that as like a Cards Against Humanity is a much lighter kind of, no, there's a lot of mechanics in End of the Line.
All right.
Yep.
The other game.
Processing.
You
remembered processing.
Apparently.
So yeah.
I remember the cover. I always see the cover. I'm like, that's a really cool cover. Every time I see it, I'm like, that's really cool. It's fun.
Processing got destroyed in a different way by the pandemic. It had just like gotten its legs underneath it, but then and I was getting ready to go on the circuit and sell the crap out of the rest of the print run, and then suddenly there's a very small market for a party-esque game. I would say processing is a smarter party game, or an area control game, depending on how you play it.
Okay.
And so the only thing you can do in the game is take one of your tokens and put it on one of the spots. That's it. So the mechanics of the game are super elegant. Yeah, I know you're not supposed to say elegant anymore, but they're very simple.
Why can't we say elegant?
It came out of board game fashion. It seems highfalutin, and people don't like that anymore. You don't say that anymore.
So we need our champagne glasses if we're going to use that word, is what you're saying?
Right. They don't like the idea. Yeah, no, it's self-inflating. It's like a flex. You don't do that. So aliens have conquered the planet.
Yes.
They have enslaved us all in processing. And you must try to earn your place in the New World Order by appeasing your alien bosses. Because we were conquered by the confederated alien overlords, pronounced cow. And the cows weren't one alien species. They're a multitude of alien species, and they all want different things. But one thing that they knew that we all know now after the insurrection and everything else is that we should be conquered and managed.
I can't say I disagree, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, they're conquered or managed. And so they take you, they shove you in a phone booth, and you have 3 buttons. And the buttons basically are where you're going to tag the boxes with either meat. You're going to turn the contents of the boxes into meat. Probe them for science, Nick, for science.
Okay.
Or free them to be citizens in the alien utopia. And so inside the boxes are humans or hipsters, if you know, whichever distinction you care for, or bovine life forms, actual like earth cows. And the reason they're together is because the confederated alien overlords do not distinguish between humans and cows. And so you must vote as this conveyor belt of humans and cows goes down, and you place your voting tokens, and where the icons go line up with the different agendas of the alien overlords. What do the Vegantors want, Nick?
You wait, say it again.
The Vegantors. Vegantors. Yes, they're giant vegan robots. What do the vegan robots want?
People to not die?
Yes, they want people and cows not to die.
Okay.
They want them all to be set free. Okay. And they will get very upset.
I'm not used to being asked questions on here. So that's
this is an interactive thing. So they'll get very upset with you and give you mad cow points. You can die of mad cow in processing. Mad cow points if humans or hipsters get turned into meat. And they're indifferent to probing. Now, I'm going to ask you the next question.
Uh-oh. Paying attention.
So what do the classy grays, the classic gray aliens want to have happen?
I don't know.
You do know this.
They want to probe everyone.
They want people to be probed, and they want cows to be turned inside out to turn to meat. So they want hipsters to be probed, and they want cows to be turned into meat, and they get mad if cows get set free. Or no, yeah, if humans get set free, they get mad about this. And so, and there's a lot of aliens who all want different things. And so the goal is, you know, and everybody has the same number of vote tokens. And so you are sort of wheeling and dealing and seeing how the thing, and you have 3 alien bosses, and you only score once in the game. There's 3 scoring periods. And so you're trying to line yourself up with other players for that scoring period, trying to be the best lackey to aliens that you can be. It's super fun. It plays super quick. Yeah, I'd highly recommend.
And I love the cover because it's those who are listening, there's, you know, pictures out there of like when you go into a meat shop where it shows like a pig, and they're like, you got the little dotted line, like here's the flank and here's the ribs and here's the this, or, you know, with the cow, you see the same thing, like here's the, you know, whatever for the meat. Well, on the cover, it's literally a human being, and it's got all those parts dotted off.
It is. You got to look close. You don't realize that's going on until
every time I see it, I laugh. I'm like, that is so, and it's got little aliens and a cow in the background.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on. It's also like Miniature Mart bought a whole bunch of it, and then they fire saled it. And so every time I see it drop below like MSRP, I tell people go grab it from Miniature Mart. Like go do that now.
Right.
Or support your favorite local game store and buy it from them. That's better. But if you just need this, and then so forth and whatnot. But yeah, no, it's the game is good. It's good. And I'm pretty sure none of your friends will have this game that they'll make you probe cows for science.
For science. For science.
And turn hipsters into meat. Yeah, that's definitely a thing.
So
I think that's it. And then also what's coming up down the pipeline.
Right.
I guess that's
Right. That's
yeah.
I was just gonna ask. It's I saw it on your website, and it's a role-playing game?
There are a couple of things. Okay. There's the micro RPG that's coming with Mouse Cheese. We're working on that because it's part of the Kickstarter promise. But also Conquest Princess, which is a co-op.
I did not see that one.
Oh yeah, no.
All right.
So I've been working on Conquest Princess for more than 5 years, I guess. It's the 9th build of this game. And that's not unusual for me. Like processing went through a lot of builds before it ended up sticking.
Right.
But this is the 9th build of Princess. I started over 9 different times. I mean, started over. But this is the one that has finally lifted off, I think.
Okay.
Like Mark 1 was great game, but it took too long. So in Conquest Princess, you use battle fashion to overcome galactic tyranny.
I love it.
It's co-op. It's great. If you get a chance to come out to Protospiel, Minnesota, you'll get a chance to play it. I'm teaming up with our illustrator again, Mark Eberhard, who's the illustrator for Hedghog Hop and Mouse Cheese Cat Cucumber, and we are going to have glorious space battle fashion, and we are going to blow us up some bad guys.
Is it going to be a small game, or is it going to be a
No, it's going to be our biggest box yet.
Oh, okay.
It is an epic story and adventure.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's episode wise. Episode 1 has three missions in it, and it's a Conquest Princess versus the Fashion Tyrant.
Nice.
And so yeah, Conquest Princess versus the Fashion Tyrant.
All
it's
right.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Tell me about the mouse cat. Jeez, mouse. Let's talk the RPG. I'm like, what's the order again? What's the order again? Damn it! I'm gonna do it again.
You're gonna do it. I'm just start holding this up for
there
you.
We go. There we go. For the people that can't see, he's holding up a version of the game on this screen.
Yeah, Mouse Cheese Cat Cucumber. Mechanical Corners is the place that. Did I mention there was a prequel comic strip for Mouse Cheese called The Adventures of Kaiser Cucumber?
Yes.
Yeah, and then there's gonna be did I mention that there's going to be an action comic of that we're gonna republish those as a animated comic?
You didn't,
like a motion comic.
Well, you have now.
Yeah, so we're doing a motion comic of that, and so that all takes place in Mechanical Corners, which is the universe of Mouse Cheese Cat Cucumbers, and the micro RPG is a heist. It's you play as the citizens of Mechanical Corners are just like Mouse Cheese Cat Cucumber. There are either animal, minion, or foodstuffs.
Okay.
Those are the 3 choices, and so you will get to be one of those and so forth and whatnot, and you will be avoiding the Mechanical Corners constabulary. Yeah. So Mouse Cheese Cat's Cucumber, MCCC, is 1300 in Roman numerals, and so there's a lot. And so Mechanical Corners, there's that MCCC again, and you'll see this over and repeated all over the place, and like anywhere we could fit that shit in, we did. So yeah, so Mechanical Corners is Mouse Cheese Cat Cucumber, or MCCC, and so forth and whatnot. Yeah. Cool. So in it, you have a little band. And it has a couple of interesting mechanics about cooperation. And at the end of the heist, the person who wins the most like favor tokens, and they're done a different way, but just to try to use universal terms, will get to narrate how he or she or they double cross the entire group and walk away with the loot from their heist.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's a heist with a twist.
Okay.
Does that make sense, Nick?
It makes a little bit of sense.
I'm old. I could be stroking out at any time. You just gotta say, Seppy, stop blinking my left eye. Why is it just the left eye? Why is it just the left eye?
No, you are good. I was just trying to track it. It's like, okay, is he still talking about the card game, or is he talking about this other thing?
And it's the micro RPG.
I got it. It's a micro RPG.
It's the micro RPG.
Yes.
Yeah, and it has advanced modes that uses the cards from Mouse Cheese Cat Cucumber for that. Okay. And even the basic mode does use them as those favorite tokens. Yeah.
So that should definitely be fun. Let's switch gears real quick and talk about Sovereignty.
I like you said gears. There are gears in Mouse Cheese Cat Cucumber. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sovereignty. Am I pronouncing that right?
No.
Pronounce it for me. That's how it's spelled.
Yeah, that's how it's spelled. It's sovereignty.
Oh, I knew that. I was just testing you.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. You got it. Hey, you win. You pronounced it right.
I did. Thank you. I love the testing.
So Sovereignty is like an online board game thing where you can play on your computers and stuff, right?
Yeah, it's you can play it on, better yet, on your phone or your tablet, and
Right.
instead of having Discord or Zoom, it's built in,
Right.
and it's all rules enforced. So you need to have a game while you sit and wait for your line in the COVID booster line. I don't know, whatever.
Right.
you can do that, or for dinner, you can play anywhere.
Because a lot
It's
of the
cross.
game companies have games on there.
Yeah, no,
How many of your guys' games are on there?
Hedgehog Hop and Mouse Cheese Cat Cucumber are on it currently. We did this thing. Jason's local to us, Nick, and he's like, "Hey, I really like your game Mouse Cheese. You want to put it on the platform before the Kickstarter?" And so we actually had it up on the Sovereignty platform before the Kickstarter did. And it was great. So people could play it. I'd use that now to teach it to game stores across the country. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely.
So do you know how that came to be? How Sovereignty came to be a thing? Because obviously there's so many things.
No,
Whether it's
I help those guys
tabletop
out.
RPG, or there's the tabletop simulator, or people have their individual stuff. Everybody's kind of got their system.
Jason's an escapee also from software as a service. And he was like, "Hey, I want, I love board games. I love technology. I'm going to go do this thing."
Right.
And so he brought one of his buddies, Tom, along, and they made the platform with this idea that they, I think it started originally, they wanted to make it as a VR something, but VR rendering of really like detailed things, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
And so the amount of copy that you can put on is way less than you think for a VR headset item. And so they had to switch, and then they ended up being, so still they wanted to do it in Unity, still they wanted it to be rules enforced. And so they wanted to make board gaming accessible to everybody.
Right.
And it's great. Like, the number one thing that people who aren't gamers don't like about games is having to learn new rules.
Yeah.
And it's not the learning that's the problem, it's the asking about learning, or feeling or seeming dumb because they don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So if you've got any non-gamers in your life and want to convert them to gamers, that is the first hurdle to overcome. Or some people are like ugly competitors. That could be the other reason.
Right. Yeah.
But normally it's fear of seeming or feeling dumb.
Right.
That is the number one reason that people don't embrace gaming.
Yeah, definitely. And I understand, like, when somebody pulls out a new board game and they go, "I got this game I want to play," and like, for me, if I see it's still sealed, I'm like, learn how to play it first and then come show me.
Yeah, so that's the great thing about the Sovereignty platform. It knows how to play the game.
Right.
It tells you what you're supposed to be doing on your turn. So even if you don't know as you're at the beginning of the game, by the end of your first play, if that's a better way for you to learn, you can do it that way.
Yeah. So
like, you can't learn as you play with Tabletopia or TTS, right? Those are all sandboxes, and it's hard to do with Board Game Arena.
Right.
But yeah, Sovereignty, it tells you. It's like, oh, okay. And with the touch screen, it's easier for some folks.
Right. And are you planning on having other games go on there?
Yeah, I would like, first of all, the solo modes for Mouse Cheese, I think, would look great on the platform. Their implementation of Mouse Cheese massively exceeded my expectations. It's great. There's a little bit of brain melt as per whatever. And so your first game of Mouse Cheese, expect things to go horribly wrong because you won't realize the ramifications of your actions. And then that's the thing. So this gives people a really quick, easy way to play a game, try it out, not worry about the rules, see what happens, and learn as you play.
Right.
So if you're a visual learner rather than a listen to learner, this could be a way to give you a gateway to a lot of types of games.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I ended up getting it. I think a person that we both know, that we know, and my wife knows, had gotten a card from one of the conventions that you guys all were at, and was like, here, try this platform out. And so threw it on there, and it's like, oh, this is going to be kind of cool. So
yeah.
so
If if your viewers would like a code to try out the entire Sovereignty library for free, let me know, and I will give you a code after, and you can post it.
Okay.
And then all they have to do is find it, and then it opens up the entire library. And it has, like, if you have not gotten to play local guy Adam Rayberg's Planet Unknown, you should play it. It's fantastic. It has not shipped from China yet. And I think, or maybe it just has, right? He's been one of those people who's been trapped in the perpetual sea of terrible logistics from the last 2 years. But that game is fantastic. It has the feeling of Terraforming Mars meets Tetris.
Right.
It's good.
Nice. I love how a lot of game designers, it's not super cutthroat. Like, you guys all kind of like you go to the conventions and you see each other, and when somebody comes out with something really cool, you're like, oh, your game is really awesome, that's really cool. And I see, obviously you do social media, and like you're showing it's not all about you, it's about gaming in general. And I think that's really awesome. We've had Patrick Leader on, and Jeff Tidball, who you mentioned earlier, and it's like the amount of support that game designers give to each other is something that you don't really see in a lot of other industries. And I think it's so freaking awesome when you sit there and go, hey, like you just said, you were talking about this other person's game and promoting it. You don't have to do that, but you do, because games, rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah, and exactly that phrase. One thing that really shocked me, and one of the things I love about being a game designer, is participating with other publishers and other game designers. I did not realize that this community existed, and how welcoming and how helpful everybody wants to be with each other.
Right.
Especially in the Twin Cities. The Twin Cities is a little different too. Like, even our game stores get along. Like, gaming culture is more about getting along than not here.
Right.
There are other places where a little bit more cutthroat. But yeah, no, like, it's Twin Cities is a fantastic place to make games. When people talk about, and if you have never been to a convention or you don't go to conventions regularly, there's a term called your con family.
Right.
And your con family is a real thing. Like, especially after years of, like, I might see these people like 4 to 6 times in a year. I have friends from way back when or whatever, I don't see that many times in a year.
Right.
Like, and let alone I saw them, and then we hung out for an entire weekend this many times a year. And like, it creates real legitimate bonds. And suddenly we also are going through things like, I'm missing bags. Anybody going to help me out? And then, yeah, you're like, hey, I got bags for you. Yeah. Something happened with my table. I didn't get a room. Like, and people, my backers have really helped us. Right. And my publishing friends have really helped us. Our games, Bob and I wouldn't have a game company if it wasn't for the Fight fans and the other publishers in the Twin Cities. Flat out, it just would not be possible.
And you mentioned Bob, and
Bob.
You want to tell us a little bit about the like how he fits into the
Fight in a Box started with 4 people,
mm-hmm.
And then everybody who's been a partner at one time in Fight in a Box has exploded into success in their other areas of their life. Nigel from Muse on Minis he started with one, and then he ended up starting Muse on Minis, and then had too much time and ended up going. Ryan was a partner at one time. Mel, who was a graphic designer she ended up going up to Chip Theory. Bob was doing video work professionally, and then decided he wanted to start a game store, and so he started Tower Games. Mm-hmm. And now that he's finally turned that ship around. Like, it was a struggle for the first couple of owners, but they loved it, and they built a great community. And on top of that thing, Bob has managed to make like a business that supports his family, which is, it's not easy. Like, running a game store is not easy. But so yes, so it's Bob and myself, and now currently, and then yeah.
And so that should tell anybody out there, support your local gaming store. If you have a local little store that sells board games or comic books or even little individual video games, it's local, support them and help them out because they're trying to get by and give you things that are awesome and fun.
Yeah, no, and we have some great game stores in the Twin Cities. From the Source to Games by James are fantastic too.
Right.
Those guys are big supporters. Jacob Thull is just an amazing person. And he is a huge proponent of local game designers and teaching his staff to help people into games. And then, of course, Bob's store is fantastic.
Right.
It's a premium gaming shopping experience. It's absolutely other like Gamers Den out in Cambridge, and these are all great places. Level Up, K and the Level Ups, these are all just great places they all have their own communities. And
definitely. So check out local gaming stores and people. Seppy, you are all over social media.
Am I?
You are all over social media.
I'm so sorry.
I think I see you more than anything on TikTok with your TikTok videos, which are always fun. I love seeing the different conventions and different things you go to. And every once in a while, I'll see a video and I'll be like, hey, I know that guy. Hey, I know that guy too. And, whether it's you doing something silly with one of the filters or showing a convention or other game stuff, it's a lot of fun. So, and it's a lot of work. You and I talked about this off stream before we started recording, that TikTok videos are not easy to just sit there and come up with them constantly.
There's some people who are native to it. For some people it's easy, but not for me.
Right.
but the people who are doing it, like killing it, like Danny Sandering, Grant Lyon from Grant's Game Rex, Easy Cat. These people put a lot of time in the craft of being able to do them, but also into individual time doing them.
Right.
Like 4 hours a day.
Job. Yeah. It's
and they're killing it. Like they're treating it like it's thing. Like this 3 minutes with me or this 1 minute with me is different. Like, I like to try to say something not dumb in 8 seconds.
I feel if you knew how many times I was like, I'm going to record this thing that just promotes the next show. And it's like, all right, take 67, delete, take. I'm like, well, I pronounced this wrong. I'm pretty sure I said cheese, cat, mouse, cucumber, but I'm going to leave it in there because I'm sick of making these videos. And it's funny that I get it wrong. So
it's great. The TikTok is, it's about the algorithm. The reason that I did it is because marketing adulting, just like rebooting marketing adulting. What ends up being such a real thing every year is there are more and more people making games, and that is better for gaming. Right. But that means that it's not only about the quality of the game that you're making, it is about promotionally, if you can stand out in a sea of people talking about their games. Like if 4,000 games got published in like 2020, and more got published last year, right?
That's crazy.
And my game is one of the smaller boxes in those.
Right. Well, that's marketing right there. I mean, you got all these big giant boxes, and some 15-year-old kids like, I've only got $20. I've only got $20 to buy a board game. I'll get Hedghog Hop. There we go. Can
you bench press 2 Gloomhaven simultaneously? I don't know if you can. It's really heavy. Really heavy.
So you were at Fight in the Box on Facebook, /Fight in the Box, at Fight in the Box on Twitter, at Fight in the Box on TikTok, at Fight in the Box on Instagram. You were I said,
all one word.
All one
no
word.
Letter, it's all Fight in a Box, one word. That's where I am in all those places. TikTok has been, the thing is that I got to do 2 a day because the algorithm, and because I promised I was going to do that. And we have content different based on the day. Like Monday is Let's Make a Game, Wednesday is World Building Wednesday, Friday is Story Friday, and so that's what I do. And then we fill in sort of moments in a game designer's life, and then a lot of gaming philosophy. I go on board gaming walks because I'm old, and that's what you do for excitement. You go on walks. and I think about board games because that's what you do when you're a game designer. So I put the two together, and then I'm like, okay, and so that's the thing.
We get your mind going and your body going, and by the time you get back, you got a new board game planned out.
It's a thing. It's absolutely. And so a lot of components I discussed, like as a publisher, I have a slightly different engagement. So lots of stuff about dice. And lots of because people love talking about dice. I dice trap people on a regular basis. Hey, look at these dice. Look at these dice.
I know. I don't get it. My wife was talking about it. She goes, yeah, talking about me. She goes, yeah, Nick, you've had the same set bag of dice for 20 years that you've been using. It's like,
I'm not going to name names, but I'm going to tell you a secret.
Uh-oh. All right.
Okay.
I'm listening.
At PAX, one of the dice companies had a secret booth for high rollers.
What? Seriously?
Yeah. If you need to know how much you needed to spend with that company on one set of dice to get into the high rollers tent, then that wasn't for you. There was a secret booth.
Wow.
One of the it's a real thing. It's a real thing.
That's cool.
People can spend money on dice like they're art objects now. Like they're made out of things and other kinds of stuff. Like one of the dice people made dice out of tungsten simply because it's the heaviest like per volume metal that you're allowed to buy.
Jesus, that's crazy.
Dice is a real thing. Like
that's
dice. Like,
and I know we've got a lot of listeners and viewers that are going to be like, "Oh my god, how much money do I need to spend?" No, don't spend anymore. You've got a room full of dice. You don't need more.
No, like there's no dice are a thing. Like dice are a thing.
It is.
And so it's a secret. Yeah. Like,
well, I want to thank you for sticking around and joining with us. Later after the podcast, we'll get some Q&A for the people here in our live stream. So Seppy, thanks for joining us and hanging out and chatting. It's been a blast. I think we've done too much laughing as it is.
No, I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
I want Holly to come up and slap you in the back of your face with a stick that way.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen listening, January 24th, we're going to have New York Times bestselling author Delilah S. Dawson. She wrote the Blood series. She's done a bunch of books for Star Wars, Hellboy, the Shadow series, and Tales of Pell. So that's January 24th. February 7th, Audible Hall of Famer, audiobook narrator, and winner of multiple Audible Awards or audio awards, Luke Daniels. He has over 450 audiobooks, including books from some of our previous guests, such as I'm having a hard time, Seppy. Lots of books, including books from Kevin Hearn and Justin Leslie, as well as we just mentioned Delilah S. Dawson. Not only that, but speaking of Luke Daniels, one of the series he narrates is written by our February 21st guest. His name is Scott Mayer. He is most well known for his Wizard 2.0 series and The Authorities, but he also has done work in stand-up comedy and written for comic books such as Dark Horse Comics. So that is going to be February 21st. So stick around and listen for all of those episodes. Make sure you download our podcast and rate and review them to help get more eyes on us and more eyes on our guests like Seppy Yoon here. So thank you all very much. I appreciate you all for being here. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for listening to Epic Realms.